Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard, and I hope you are doing well this evening. Today we're going to talk about how we can do physical movements in the third dimension that actually shift us to the sixth dimension. Hi, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. All right, so 30 years ago, I was invited to a private class that taught ancient 2,000-year-old spiritual energy movements from the Maoshan Taoist sect of southern China. And in those 30 years, is it 31 years now? It's coming up on 31 years since I've been practicing this. In the 31 years that I've been practicing this art, I have come to understand what I did not understand way back then. Way back then when I was practicing this stuff you see me doing here, I was just learning it. When I was practicing that stuff, all I knew was that it was incredibly powerful. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything else about it. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. This is what I want to do. And since I've been practicing and continuing to learn over these past 30 years, I've come to understand that this practice that I learned as an internal martial art, when I first walked in, that's what they told me it was. I find out now that what this practice is actually a way to hack into higher dimensions. And I know for a fact that at least one of the forms that we use goes directly to the sixth dimension. I just want you to understand what that means before I go more deeply into that. We throw these words out like dimensions, and if you're a ufologist, you've probably heard people talk about densities. And I get very upset when I hear people talk about densities because it doesn't mean anything. From a scientific perspective, I understand what people are saying. The more dense, the lower the vibration. But when we talk about dimensions, we're talking about worlds that once you go up a dimension, the power of that world is so completely incomprehensible to the dimension beneath it. Just to give you an example, imagine if you were to look at a two-dimensional world and then try and explain to somebody in that two-dimensional world how incredibly different it is in the third dimension. They wouldn't be able to comprehend it. And if you tried to communicate with somebody in a second dimension world, just the energy of your thoughts, your third dimensional thoughts, if you just get close enough and think at them, the power of your thoughts would go into that world, and it would be as though they were struck by super lightning. It would be so intense that it would fry their two-dimensional brains. So we throw around, people come onto the channel and they say things, on the comments section, and say things like, "I'm already in the fifth dimension. I'm in the sixth dimension." And I'm like, really? Then what are you doing typing on a computer? So let me give you an understanding of how powerful it is to go from the third to the sixth dimension. And we're just going to move from the third dimension to the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension, by the way, is time. So we can't really sit in the fourth dimension. We have to go from the third to the fifth. But if we were able to snap our fingers and be in the fourth dimension, here's how crazy it would be. The third dimension has 8 reference points. thinking of a box. We live in, third dimension is a box. It's a rectangle, a box. And when you look at the top of the box, there are 4 reference points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you draw a line, you'll have a square above you, and that is the top part of the third dimension. The bottom part of the third dimension is also 8 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you draw a line between those, you'll get a square. You have these 2 squares on top of each other. You connect them by connecting the 8 points. 4 on one side, 4 on the other. When you've done that, you now have a functioning third dimension. An 8-point reference system. So when you go into the fourth dimension, it doesn't go from like 8 to 10. It doubles. It goes from 8 to 16. We can't comprehend that. 16 different, we can't do it. We can't do it because we're in the third dimension. But it's not just space itself that changes from 8 reference points to 16, whatever that looks like. The energy also goes up, and it doesn't double, because bear in mind, going from 8-dimensional reference points to 16 doesn't make it twice as big. It makes it quantumly just unbelievably huge in comparison to our third dimension. It's unbelievably enormous and powerful. Emotions, the emotions that you have in the third dimension, if you go to the fourth dimension, it goes from, here to beyond what we can imagine. Thoughts, the ability to think in abstract terms, same thing. Energy, we have life force energy in our third dimension. We have life force energy in our bodies. We have Kundalini in our bodies. We have the heart center energy, which we learn about here in the Maoshan Spirit Fighting Forums, also up here at the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. We go into that. We talk about that. We know what that feels like. If you're doing the 90-day challenge, I recommend everybody does it. If you're doing that, or if you're doing the Maoshan or any of the other energy practices that I have, you can feel what it's like, what the energy is like. You can feel it. Imagine that going quantumly, expansively from the third to the fourth dimension. It's beyond our comprehension. We can't handle it. I'm going to share an experience with you a little bit later to help you understand what I'm talking about. But then we go to the fifth dimension. So if there's 8 reference points for the third dimension, there's 16 physical reference points for the fourth dimension. For the fifth dimension, there's 32 spatial reference points. We can't comprehend it. Anybody who thinks they can comprehend it, trust me, you can't. The energy of the fifth dimension is so unbelievably, for us, is so unbelievably condensed and powerful that if we were to feel just 1/5 dimensional being's energy, if we were to feel like, we could feel another human being's energy, and maybe they have more, a little bit less, but if we were to feel the energy inside the body of a 5th dimensional being, we would explode. You can't fit it into 3 dimensions. It won't fit. Same is true with the emotions. The emotions won't fit in the 3rd dimension. The thoughts, the cognition, the thought structures, the imagination that they have cannot fit into 3 dimensions. And that's going from 3 to 5. 3 to 6 is, for a solely 5th dimensional being, the 6th dimension is incomprehensible. Why am I going up this? I'm not going farther than that because I can tell you for a fact, now that I know what I know, that there's at least one practice in this Maoshan spirit fighting practice that I share with you guys at here maoshan.thunderwizard.com. There is at least one practice that taps into the sixth dimension. And the reason I know that is because the sixth dimension has 64 spatial reference points. So when I first started learning this art, the first thing they taught me was a footwork set. And it was called 64 steps. And in those 64 steps, you're on a two-dimensional surface pointing to all of the nine worlds, the 8 directions, and you're doing all this stuff. But one thing that blew my mind, and I was trying to find it earlier, and I don't know if it's in here somewhere in my OBS thing, and I can't find it at the moment. But whenever you see, well, the closest one we could look at is this. So when you see the thunder wheel here, that is a two-dimensional representation of the 9 worlds, the 8 directions. Each one of those arms is 8 directions. But we can only look at it in a two-dimensional framework. I can't even show you in 3 dimensions. But every time you're doing the practice and you start the north and you do the yin-yang hands and you go to each of the 8 directions clockwise, and then the 9th time facing north, you are actually tapping into higher dimensions. You're tapping into the 4th dimension when you do that. And the way that you know that is if you take a tesseract, which I think I might have a tesseract here. A tesseract is not just that thing you saw in those superhero movies. A tesseract is a box for the 4th dimension. We try to take a look at it in 3 dimensions. Is this it? Is that it? Ah, there it is. I do have it. All right, so this right here. Now, this looks like, this little box right here looks like it is morphing. It's not. What is happening is that this is what it looks like when you walk around it. So you can see inside there's a bunch of 3-dimensional spaces that are all intertwining on top of each other. It doesn't make sense. We're doing our best to try and show in a 2-dimensional graphic, and our brain's created in 3 dimensions, but it's actually 4 dimensions. We can't really understand it. Again, it's not morphing. That's what happens when you walk around it. When you look at it from a different place, things start to open up that weren't there before. Now, the shadow of that we can't see that. Sorry, wrong finger. We can't see that in our 3rd dimension. But if that were held above our 3rd dimension, and if you shone a light behind it, it would make this 8-sided symbol. So these 8-sided symbols are sacred, not because they're just symbolic about the 9 worlds or the 8 directions. They are actually the shadow of the 4th dimension. So when I saw that, I knew that this 64-step form, which I haven't taught yet, I plan on teaching it. When enough people are doing this practice and we can start finding a way to either work in person or work online or something like that, maybe I'll start I think the easiest thing to do would be to certify somebody in it so that they could go and, I don't know, I'll figure something out. But that right there is actually the shadow that is made onto the third dimension when you shine a light through the fourth dimension onto the third. Why is that important? Because by doing these practices, let's see, I've got too much stuff here. By doing these practices, let's get rid of that. By doing these practices here, what you are doing is you are stretching. You're stretching your mind and your energy body to be able to handle more and more of these higher dimensional energies. Now, as you know, for the past 7 months, has it been? Not quite. 6 to 7 months. I have been working, and in fact, I just finished before I came on tonight. I just spent time with my friends here, my higher dimensional friends. And so for the average person, here's what I've learned. For the average person who does CE5, that is a human-initiated contact with higher dimensional beings, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind protocols. For the average person, for them, a successful CE5 is when they see a light in the sky that they don't know what it is. It's a flying orb. Maybe it's a spaceship. Maybe it's something else we don't know. And they might have some psychic experience that they've connected with something. And there's all levels. I'm not trying to limit anybody, but based on the information that I read online, the Facebook groups, the average CE5 enthusiast, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Maybe they'll turn their radio on. No, mine's not close. They'll turn on their ham radio, and their ham radio will make a bunch of noise, which will prove to them that there's, something supernatural is going on. But that's not what happened with me. What happened with me was the third time I did it, I was successful. I don't know what dimension this gentleman, this being is from, but he's from at least the fifth dimension or higher. He showed up and he put some energy into me. He put his finger onto my crown chakra, and I flipped out. And I have not been the same. I went through, you guys were there if you've been on my channel, I went through at least a month where I was completely non-functional. I was in and out of this reality. My right ear is still closed up. I mean, I can hear probably, if I pull on it, I might be able to hear, 20, 30% out of it. But it's just, I'm a part of me is always in the fifth dimension, and that's what happens. If you work with the beings who look like mantises, the mantis beings, when you work with them, I know for a fact your right ear you'll that's just what happens when you work with them. And I've gotten used to it, but the point I'm trying to make, what I'm trying to get to is that when I interact with them, the amount and the intensity of their energy, I wish I could put into words how intense the energy is. And what they're teaching me to do is to go into an interdimensional state and work with molding timelines. And then what's happening is that the energy, at least if I'm interpreting what's happening correctly, is that I am tapping into higher dimensional energies, and then my body gets filled with that energy. But at first what would happen is they would show up. They'd show up in my room, and they would just telepathically send energy to me. and my whole body would just get filled with this energy that has nothing to do with anything in our dimension. So when I talk to you about the power of these higher dimensional planes of existence, I'm not just theorizing, although now I get it. If you scientists probably can't comprehend it. Maybe they can, but you can maybe intellectually go, well, if you go from 8 reference points to 16 reference points, then the energy, just the ambient energy that we have in 3D, if the ambient energy in 4D must be really super intense. But they don't really think about beings in those higher dimensions. But that goes with emotions, spiritual energy, as well as thoughts. Thoughts become so incredibly dense and concentrated that we can't comprehend them. So I'm going to share with you an experience I had. Now, throughout that whole month, I was getting these energy upgrades. And beings would show up almost daily. And sometimes there would be entire nights where, I wasn't really sleeping because there were beings that were putting energy into different parts of my body all night long, and parts of my body were getting like twisted around and stretched, and, it was weird. I mean, it felt great. There was a lot of really great energy that came. And then there's the spiritual stuff that was happening, meeting all of my dead relatives and working through all the karma and finding out multiple past lives and being able to see back, and forward, all kinds of different stuff. And that, is its own craziness. But every now and then they would say, we're going to give you an energy upgrade. That's the way my brain interprets it. And then I would get jolted with energy that would be difficult for me to handle for sometimes a couple of days. And my response to it would be my mind and my body would try to reject it. And the response would be that I would either be depressed or angry or uncomfortable. And then when my body, was able to expand and experience it, then I would find tremendous peace and the heightened energy level would be great. So I came on here and I started teaching the interdimensional meditation course, and I started doing interdimensional meditations with you guys live. And, we'd do things like go to the sun and send energy to Earth. And you guys were there. Some of you did that. It doesn't feel like a whole lot is going on. Some people have a lot of energy going on, whatever. But I finished doing 1 or 2 of those. And went to bed, was getting ready to go to sleep. And then I could feel that somebody was coming. Somebody was coming to visit. Sure enough, somebody showed up and said, somebody very important is coming to visit you. You're going to get an energy upgrade. And then I must have had a stupid look on my energy face, because then she said, say thanks. And then she took off. And sure enough, this incredibly powerful being showed up. And I still hesitate telling you what they told me, because I just don't see how it serves anybody. But the point is that the being said, gave me a title, let's say. I am giving you an upgrade. You are now, and gave me a title. And the energy that came through me was, it knocked me, out. I mean, I didn't lose consciousness, but it was that kind of a feeling. And my brain, it interpreted the message. We only have so many words. We only have so many superlatives in human language, because we can only talk about what happens in the 3rd dimension. But whatever this being said was a 5th or a 6th dimensional concept. And my brain just went all the way up to, as far as it could go, and said the most absolute grandiose thing it could, because it couldn't go beyond 3D. And I thought I had lost my mind, because the 3D translation of what this being said I was unbelievable. It just just not humanly possible. And it took me a while to understand that all that happened was because the way that higher dimensional beings communicate is they telepathically communicate to you, and then thoughts, your own thoughts, sort of explode inside your mind, or a thought will form in your mind in your own voice, and then you'll realize that's not something you would ever say, or that's not something you would ever think, and if you get an energy jolt at the same time, you know that it was a telepathic higher dimensional message. So anybody who says that higher dimensional beings speak to them and they hear their voice, that's not been my experience. I don't think they're talking to higher dimensional beings. Higher dimensional beings will send you messages through the dimensional barrier, and the only way it can get to you, if it's a thought, is that the thought will emerge in your mind in your own voice, but you'll know it's not your mind thinking it. Or if it's an energy or an emotion, inside your heart center, you will feel this energy expand within you, and it will feel like, if you really get it, you'll feel like you can't breathe. I've come to realize I can breathe, but it feels like there's a pressure, but there isn't. It's just a higher dimensional emotion or energy. And, just like this is pretty good. This thing, where is it? It feels like this. It feels like this is what's happening to you on the inside. Just this thing is roiling and coming out into you. Now, this is a long way for me to tell you that I believe that the reason that I have been able to communicate with them on a daily basis, able to receive energy upgrades and connect to this energy and go into the interdimensional space and be able to take that energy and use it, because that's one of the things I'm learning how to do, is when I'm in that interdimensional space, to channel that energy into manifesting different things in this reality. I think the reason that I'm able to do that is very simply because I did this stuff. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that I was training myself to go beyond into higher dimensions. But now I know. Now I know why the thunder wheel is so powerful. And now I know why every time we face different directions and we go in a clockwise fashion, you feel the energy in your body increase. And now I know why that 64-step form that was taught is actually tapping into the 6th dimension. It's opening a doorway to the 6th dimension and allowing your energy bodies to expand to be able to take in more energy. All right, having explained that now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play I'm going to play a videotape. A video that I made for the other channel. Hang on one second. I want to get rid of this so that my poor little laptop doesn't have a. Is that the one? No. Sorry. I'll leave it alone. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. I played this on my other channel to introduce people to this channel, but also let you know what I'm giving to you now, this package that I'm giving to you now, isn't just something I'm doing because I need extra cash. I'm doing it because if there are people out there that you've been wanting to learn this stuff, but you haven't had the resources. I mean, I do every now and then want to make it available to whoever really, really wants it. So watch this and you'll get a better understanding of what it is that we're doing here. 2,000 years ago, Taoist shamans uncovered powerful techniques that allowed them to use their minds and their bodies to open portals to other dimensions. They could travel to these dimensions, and they could bring energies and beings from higher dimensions into our dimension. These Taoist wizards were known as the Mao Shan, and they were the original Taoist sect, and they've been known for 2,000 years as the most powerful and the most mysterious. 31 years ago, I was given the honor of being able to train in what was at that time a secret class of spirit fighting arts. It combined the powers of Qigong, of Tai Chi, of yoga and martial arts. And to this day, after searching for 31 years, I have not found anything that comes even remotely close to the power that this technology gives to me. I am offering it to you right now at maoshan.thunderwizard.com for the next 2 weeks. You will save huge amounts of money. I'm also bundling it with all of my favorite video teachings from all of my courses at thunderwizard.com. Go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com and get started. Okay, so I wanted to show you that so now you understand and have a greater appreciation when I say that we are making a shift to the 6th dimension by doing these practices. It's not just some cute phrase. And it's not just, oh yeah, I'm in the 5th dimension. Oh, I'm in the 6th dimension, and we're both sitting next to each other on our phones. And no, you're not. If you were in the 4th dimension, you'd disappear. I wouldn't see you. If you were in the 5th dimension, I wouldn't be able to see you. If you were in the 6th dimension, I wouldn't be able to see you. You wouldn't be part of 3D space-time whatsoever. So anybody who talks about, I'm shifting into the 5th dimension and I'm in the 6th dimension, they don't know what they're talking about. I can say that I had an energy shift that shifted me closer to the 5th dimension, and that was something that my ET friends said. We're going to, I didn't understand them. They said, we're coming for you first. The way I heard it in my head was, we're coming for you first, and we're going to take you to the 5th dimension first. And I thought they were going to take me on a spaceship. I didn't know what was going to happen. But that was just, again, my 3D brain trying to understand what they said. But sure enough, what ended up happening was that they did energetically show up one day, and what they said was, here's what it's going to feel like. And the energy that shifted within me, and visually and physically, and I was around other people. I've talked to you guys about it before. And the incredible amount of love that was flowing through me and the connection to everything. I could feel myself connected to everything. I could feel myself connected to Earth. I could feel Earth flowing through me. I mean, I was connected to the animals, the birds, the sand, the frogs, the people, the dogs, the babies. I mean, I felt, and that was the better part of a day. And then I slowly came back to, the 3rd dimension, and it wasn't all that. I mean, I was, on the one hand, I was happy to be here because I understood it, but it was a little sad that I had to come back down. So that's where we're headed, I believe, when the solar wave hits. I believe that we're going to be in this space of a higher 3-dimensional frequency. As I think about it, I'm pretty sure everybody saw me. I don't remember. I think I talked to some people, so I'm pretty sure that people in 3D could see me. But for all I know, maybe they couldn't. I don't know. But I think that we're going to be in a higher vibrational shift of 3D, which will be closer to 5D. And I believe that what will happen is we will be able to simply intuit and intend what we want and manifest it. Now, one of the things that has to happen, I believe, before we get to that point, is the human race has to evolve to the next level where we all unanimously decide we're not going to do this money thing anymore. We're going to get rid of the banks. We're going to get rid of the governments. We're going to get rid of all of the media. We're going to get rid of all of that. And the only thing that will be left will be our connection to the quantum spirit. We won't need telephones. We won't need internet. We certainly won't need gas vehicles. I don't know what we'll do to get around. But to get to that point, we've got to let go of the idea of things like money. I talked about this last time. Money doesn't exist. It is purely an arbitrary intellectual concept that is used to control you. It doesn't exist anymore. It never really has, but it especially doesn't exist now. And we will have to get rid of all of that. So, ironically, I'm saying that I want to make this technology available to you guys. As it turns out, I'm in a situation where I need extra cash to make my journey. So I've dropped the prices so that you guys can have access to this stuff. I like making it available to people, but I don't like taking something this sacred and reducing it to that, because if it doesn't cost you something, my experience is you won't learn anything. People tend to learn when it's valuable to them. So anyway, having said that, I am opening that up for you for the next couple of weeks. I'm really excited to move back to Australia, and I believe that this next year, I think a lot of things are going to shift. I think there's going to be some big major shifts this year. And anyway, I hope that we get to experience all of that together. All right, having said that, let me go ahead now and open it up to questions. I do like questions. If you have a question, write the word question in all caps. And if you have a feeling, go ahead and write the word feeling and share your feelings with me. I was going to turn something back on here. What was it? I'm going to give up in half a second. Go ahead. If you have any questions, go ahead and write them now while I'm looking for what I want to find. Okay, is it this one? No, it's not that one. It's this one. No, it's not that one. It's this one. All right. I want to keep that one playing. All right. Thundra says hello. THUNDRA.thunderwizard.com is her website. She's one of my Vedic astrologers. And by the way, in the Maushan package, you will get the video which will teach you my Vedic astrology system. You can go ahead, if you learn that, you can go ahead and become a Vedic astrologer. You don't need any more information than what I give you to give people incredibly powerful readings. I will also give you the basic understandings if you want to keep studying on your own and learn more, which my astrologers usually do. You can. Thundra is one of those, thundra.thunderwizard.com. Same with Vincent. Vincent.thunderwizard.com is his website. You can see all the stuff he has there in the chat. He is also one of my Vedic astrologers, and you can do the same thing they're doing. Go to maushan.thunderwizard.com to get that. Let's see. AA32, I don't know, I'm sure maybe that's supposed to be a name or something. But I thank you for throwing $10 at me. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support. Flag Runner, question. Is the 90-day practice the martial art that destroys dark entities? No. The 90-day practice, are you doing it? I'm going to guess you're not doing it. So let me explain to you what this is. If you go here to thunderwizard.com and you scroll around and you subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, you will have access to you'll have access to the entire Thunder Wizard library of advanced practices. You will have access to the mastery of shamanism. I teach you that. That was what people started asking me, because I had all these books that I had, and people, which book do I start with and where do I start? I said, okay, I'll tell you from A to Z. And I created the Mastery of Shamanism course. And then I created the Manifestation Mastery course. I'm now creating the Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation, which is Advanced CE5 meditations. And then above that, we have the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. So the Mao Shan right here, these 5 element practices, the stuff you see me doing in these videos, that is actually sort of like the tip of the iceberg. But underneath that is the Mao Shan practices. The Mao Shan practices are consist mostly of practices that open up the lightning center of the heart. Now, here's something, unless you've done it, you won't know what I'm talking about. You may not even believe me, but once you do it, you will know from personal experience. So everybody has access to their chi, their prana, their life force energy. You can do Qigong, anybody can do it. You can do deep breathing. That will open up energy meridians and Qi will go through your body. You'll take Qi from outside and you'll bring it into your body like you breathe. Everybody can do that. Kundalini is a different energy. Kundalini, unlike what you've heard, is not life force energy. Kundalini is unique to human beings and, in fact, ETs as well. ETs have Kundalini, very powerful Kundalini. Kundalini is associated with your nervous system, the spinal column, and the 7 chakras. And it goes up the spine. Now, Qi can stimulate Kundalini, and Kundalini can stimulate Qi, but they're not the same thing. Everybody has access to Qi and Kundalini. But you have a third energy system, which is literally lightning energy that surrounds your soul. There's a reason why, your heart has an electric, an electric charge to it, and there's a reason why we, put those electric pads on people to bring them back to life, because there is actually an electric charge around your soul, but it is self-contained, so you don't get access to it. It is designed to protect your soul from 3D harsh realities. People hurt you, people betray you, people cause you damage. You don't get what you want in life. You get disappointed. You get frightened. So your soul needs to be protected from all of that, because that's when the soul is by itself. People don't do that. Other souls, I don't care who, think of the worst people you can think of. Once they get out of 3D, they don't do that. They don't lie, they don't cheat, they don't hurt anybody. They're no longer deluded by the limitations of the 3D. So your soul needs to be protected from that. But one of the things that's going to happen when we shift to this higher level of 3D, we will no longer need to have that armor around our heart center. And we will be able to take this lightning energy and have it come out of us. And this is the energy, to answer your question, that destroys evil entities. So if you want to learn how to destroy evil entities, then you need this, the maoshan.thunderwizard.com. But this is directly connected to this, because we do meditations, we do movements, we do mudras, there's mantras, there's other things that are specifically associated with the lightning energy. So somebody can do this and get access to the lightning energy, and at the very least what will happen is you will be protected from negative entities. If you want to fight them with your bare hands, then you need to do the Mao Shan. You need to do that stuff, what I'm doing right there. But they go together. It is my sincere, strong suggestion, everybody that's doing these Mao Shan practices, you need to be subscribed. And if you're not subscribed and you're not doing all of the things that I'm teaching, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because originally there was a temple, and in the temple, you learned all of the meditations, you learned all of the mudras, you learned all of the movements, you learned all of the qigong associated with it. And this was sort of reserved for the warrior wizard monks. But you can't have this without this. And you're doing yourself a disservice. So I recommend you do both. I hope that answered your question, Flag Runner. Agent of the Universe. It's not a question. Agent of the Universe, honest feeling. I faced the right directions and did the yin-yang hands and noticed my body having more energy than usual, like the energy did a series of explosions within. Yeah, see what I mean? So that's my experience as well. You're tapping into higher dimensional energies. Let's see. Flag Runner, honest feeling. I feel reluctant to gain power too quickly. Okay. I guess I don't really have anything to say. I question is it that you feel reluctant? Or is it that, see, let me explain something to you. I was just experiencing this with my friends just a bit before I came on. I was meditating and talking to them. One of the things that happens is that when you gain energy, when you gain power, like real power, you have to betray your attachments to 3D. You think, your 3D mind thinks that fear, all the things associated with the 3D, your 3D mind thinks that is necessary to survive. So when you're given power that goes beyond that, you actually feel like you're betraying your race, the human race. You feel like you're betraying people. There's a fear and a trepidation and a guilt that comes. And that's what I hear in what you're saying. So I think people should go as fast as they want to. I don't understand it. I want as much energy as I can get my hands on. And I can tell you from personal experience, the more energy you get your hands on, the more evolved you become. So the fear, Yoda let's just be honest, Yoda is a character in a movie. And the dark side of the Force is something in a movie. So that is actually your unconscious resistance. Any, Star Wars themes that say, oh, he got too much power too fast, he became, Darth Vader. It doesn't work like that. The truth is that the more power you get, the more conscious you become. But your fear will tell you, and other people who are afraid of it, people who only do safe stuff. This is why the Mao Shan, by the way, the Mao Shan to this day, if you find somebody, things are changing in China, but if you went back 20, 30 years and you said the name Mao Shan to a Chinese person, they would get scared because they have been told that Mao Shan are evil sorcerers. But the people who say that are the other sects who don't have the heart center lightning energy. And they were jealous and they were afraid. And also the folk magicians who wanted to do black magic would claim to be Mao Shan even though they weren't. But your fear of power is your fear of evolution. Having said that, it's okay to go as fast or slow as you want. When you do these forms, you can go at your own pace. You can practice for 10 minutes or 20 minutes and get to a level where if you're comfortable with that power, you can stop for the day. You do it for a half an hour or an hour and you want more, you can keep going. You have control. It's not like if you open the box, it's going to explode in your face and then you won't. I was listening to, I forget the guy's name, very, very famous Indian yogi that's on, I forget his name. You'd know who I was talking about, but he was talking about, you have to be careful if you do this thing, because then what will happen is you'll die. I mean, it's all nonsense, all of it. I used to even say you have to be careful or you'll blow some circuits. But the truth is that the only reason you blow circuits is because you're afraid. And you're not afraid of anything bad. The truth is that we are not afraid of failure. We are afraid of success. Because when you succeed, you expand beyond what you understand. So, anyway, it's okay that you have that feeling and you're free to go at whatever pace you want. It is a free universe, by all means. I'm glad that I lust for power, because the more power I get, the more awareness I get. I wouldn't be here. This channel wouldn't be here if I wasn't absolutely just an energy and power junkie. So I can tell you from personal experience that the more power you get, the more evolved you get. People don't turn into Darth Vaders. The people who turn into Darth Vaders are people who lack power. That's why they have to go outside of it. That's why they have to summon demons to get their power, because they don't have any. All right, let's move on. Let's see, Agent of the Universe question. I had a dream that an eclipse happened all of a sudden, and I felt myself almost passing out from the gravity getting more intense. What could this mean? I don't know. I've never had that kind of a dream before, but I think if you keep meditating on it, maybe you'll come to an understanding, but I honestly can't. Chrissy Hughes, do me a favor, look above you, question in all caps. That's so that I don't miss your question. You say, I resonate with the runes, right? R-U-N-E-S, with the runes, and I've been watching and reading some of your books to catch up before joining your cosmic Qigong classes. Any suggestions? First off, you don't need to catch up. It's not like you're going to show up to class and I'm going to say, have you read the preliminary, have you done your, no, you don't need to catch up. You just show up wherever you're at. You can show up to any of the practices you want. If you want to do I don't know what you mean by cosmic Qigong classes. You mean these, or you mean this, or you mean the celestial Qigong. By the way, let me once again let you guys know that at maoshan.thunderwizard.com right now, the package you're going to get is going to have the celestial Qigong, which is something that I made 12, 15 years ago when I had hair on my head. And it is the basis, it's the bones of the Maoshan energy practices. When you do that, combined with the 5 elements, combined with the lightning Qigong, you have an incredibly powerful structure base. So I recommend everybody, if you're doing this and you're doing this, you should also get the celestial Qigong. If you get the package that I've got here at maoshan.thunderwizard.com, it will be included for free, as well as a bunch of other crazy stuff. Again, it's like, it's like I don't know what I say, worth $5,000 worth of stuff. You're getting a huge amount of savings off of it. She says she's going to sign up for the lightning Qigong. Awesome, very good. I hope it works out for you, and welcome. And please feel free to share your experiences with us as you continue through the lightning Qigong and any of the other practices you decide to do. Root, question. Has there been a time when us humans did not have this electric barrier around the heart or the soul? Well, let me ask you this question. How does that question help you? I don't understand what you're gaining from that question. To be honest, I don't know the answer of it, and I don't care. That's like saying, was there ever a time that human beings didn't have 2 front-facing eyes? Yeah, probably. But But by the time you go that far back in our physical evolution, it has no bearing on us at all. I mean, was there ever a time when I needed, when humans needed to have these little ear flaps? Yeah, when we were, primitive monkeys. I can still move my ears. Your ears will still move if you hear a sound back here. You can see your cat and your dog's ears doing it all the time. We don't need it anymore. I could ask that question. Has there ever been a time when I needed to move my ear flaps around? Yeah, millions of years ago, but who cares? What else? Chrissy Hughes, you don't have to apologize for the spelling. That's not your fault. I was just trying to understand what I was reading. You don't have to apologize for anything, my sister. Vincent.thunderwizard.com question. Someone hired me to teach Qigong at a spiritual retreat. Wow, that is so awesome. You guys can do that too, by the way. I mean, even if I don't certify you, you can take this stuff and create your own thing. You just can't call it by any of the names that I call it by. And you can't say that I certified you. You cannot do that. But you can take whatever you want and create your own practice and go out there and do your thing. Pay it forward. You say, would summoning the immortals set be too advanced? No, not at all. Is there anything I should stay away from? No. You follow your instincts. Follow your intuition, my friend. Teach what you enjoy, teach what you know. And yeah, I think that's awesome. You got hired. So you're getting paid to do something you would do in your spare time. I spent all day, I was trying to put together a video thing for the quantum. I've taught up here, I've taught the first part of the butterfly set. The butterfly hands. But there's actually a second mirror part to it, and then I've created what I call the quantum butterfly, which is you have the two halves of the mirror going back and forth, in all of the four major directions, and it's really powerful. And I was trying today to make a video out of it, and I couldn't do it. So I just decided that that's the universe saying it's not time. They're not ready for the quantum butterfly yet. But because it's something that if you did the Mao Shan and you got to a point where you were proficient at it, that's one of the things I would want to teach you is the quantum butterfly, because I've found it to be an amazing set. How did I get onto that? I don't know. Yeah, but that's awesome. You're getting paid. I teach you guys this. You don't have to. I'm not saying people should take this and then go and teach if they don't want to. I'm not saying you have to do that. What I am saying is that when you do practices that feed your soul, other people are going to want that. People are going to want what works for you and empowers you. And there's nothing like getting paid to do what you would do for your own empowerment. And everybody wins. This is 5D stuff. This is where the fifth dimensional shift is going. Nobody's going to have to go do some crappy job they don't want to do. Nobody's going to have to do that. People will want to do things. And whatever it is that you want to do is what people will need. Oh, really? You're a gardener? Well, we need a gardener for our community farm. Oh, really? You like making really cute, strange things? We need somebody to build that for. What's that? You like creating, and you've come up with a new way to build houses? We need that. And in exchange for that, you get free food, and it's going to be all this. It's just going to be people living. And we're going to be living on a planet that gives us everything we need. As I said in the video yesterday, one of the things that people say to shame little kids out of believing that the universe gives them everything they need is they go, what do you think, money grows on trees? No, fruit grows on trees. And once you pluck one fruit, another one comes out. It's like a never-ending vending machine, and it's free. That's the world that we need to live in. All right, let's see what else. Vincent, honest feeling. The other day I felt self-doubt, thinking about how the hell am I going to make money doing this stuff? And boom, out of the blue, someone approached me. Wow. I mean, if that doesn't let you know that doing the work you've been doing, by the way, Vincent's been working his tail off. You know, he's been following all of my suggestions, and he's been just really going after it. And this is what you get. When you follow your soul, the universe has to provide. See, now, Vincent, you know that if you didn't allow yourself to believe that doing what you wanted to do is what will literally feed you, you wouldn't do it. You know, when I talk to people about careers, when I do career counseling, which, by the way, at maoshan.thunderwizard.com, one of the things you'll get is the Find Your Perfect Career video series, which you can also turn into a life coaching business. In fact, I made that video course to teach you how to be a life coach and teach and help people find their true career. When I do career consultations with people, I can't tell you, almost every single person, you know, will start to try and come up with a job that they don't hate. They'll go, well, you know, I could do that and I don't hate it. As long as you have that mindset, it will never even dawn on you to get paid to go do some really cool thing that you would do anyway. And when you come home from that, you know, when you teach Qigong and you get paid for it, you come home and you're like counting money going, and I didn't even work today. I just had fun with my friends. That's life, man. That's life. That's what it's supposed to be. But if we don't allow ourselves to have that, we're going to go after, you know, the idea of that money means something. That's the hardest one. That money actually means something. And it doesn't. Anyway, for the time being, we have to deal with it. But if we have to deal with money, then we should only get paid, ideally, don't get me wrong, if you have a job and you need to go to work and pay the bills and feed your kids, I'm not trying to tell you to go jump off a cliff and destroy yourself. What I'm saying is that if we have to deal with the money thing right now, we should be just doing what we would do anyway. And then the money will come. And then we use the stupid money thing. But the thing is, if you're already living this way, like you're following your soul, and you've decided to turn the things that your soul wants to do into your career, and you've made the decision, you say, I'm only going to make money doing things that make me happy. If you're already on that, when you shift to 5D, there's not going to be any transition period. But the people who have to spend their life working some crappy job that they can't stand, when the 5D, in fact, just to illustrate, somebody left a comment on the channel, and he said, it was a I don't know what I said, it was a video that he liked. He said, I like this video better. And I don't know what he meant by that. He said, I like this video better because actually the 5D thing I don't like, because what if I'm in 5D and I'm all happy, but then I have to go to my job and all of my fellow employees don't like me. And it was just like, but it gives you an idea that people hold on to 3D because they think if they go beyond it, they'll be rejected. And that's what's happening when you say, yeah, if I do that job I can't stand, or I can tolerate it, but Listen, I'm 59 years old, and I'm old enough to have seen people my age that I grew up with who spent their whole adult life doing that job that they didn't hate. And they're miserable. They're old, they're sick, they're on medications, they can't walk, they look 20 years older than me, That's what you get after decades of doing that job that I can tolerate it. That's where you end up. So have the balls, have the courage to do what makes you happy, and the universe will come around you and clap. Whenever you do anything that makes you happy, I am not kidding you in the slightest. I've seen it, I've experienced it. When you do anything outside of your comfort zone that makes you happy, our friends back here, I am not kidding you, they clap, they cheer, they sing for you. I've heard them singing. When I've done something that I've gone a little bit beyond my comfort zone, and especially if I give it out to other people, one time I swear to you, they sang for me. It was like a command performance. It's hard. It's kind of hard to deal with that much, positive affirmation, but they're representing how the universe feels, how Mother Earth feels underneath you, how the energy around you feels. We just have been so programmed to think otherwise. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse here for a second. Vincent, honest feeling, what's cool is I'll also be teaching Vedic astrology and yoga for them as well. You see? Now you know. You decided you wanted to do that how long ago? And you were wondering, is it ever going to turn into anything? And you didn't even have to go ask for it. Somebody walked up to you. I mean, come on. Does it get any better than that? Anyway, and I understand why you feel so grateful and lucky. Anyway, I'm not seeing any more questions or comments. I hope this has been inspiring to you. And I hope I've kind of blown your mind a little bit when we talked about, what's different between the different dimensions and all of that. And I hope that if there's anybody out there listening who is listening to all this stuff as I talk about these higher dimensional energy practices, and you want to do that, but you're just afraid to take that, like, forgive me, somebody said, I'm afraid of getting too much energy. Really sit with that, because there's no need to be afraid of what is your birthright as a human being. You don't need to be afraid of your own power. Should I say this? I'm the only one left alive from my family. Everybody in my household that I grew up in, they're all dead. And there was a very clear message. They didn't say it verbally. A couple times they did, but most of the time it was just an energetic feeling. And the feeling was, don't be too successful. Because if you're successful, if you're happy, you'll make us look bad. And if you make us look bad, we won't love you. And that is a message that is given to all of us in our society. Energetically, spiritually. Don't get too powerful spiritually, because then you'll make us all feel bad, and you'll make us look bad, and you'll frighten us, and you'll intimidate us, and you'll make us realize how much pain we're in and how trapped we are, and we won't like you. Like that one guy said, if I get too much into 5D and then I go back to work, my fellow workers won't like me. And that's just not how it works. What you find out is that when you expand and you become happier with yourself, the truth is everybody around you starts to become happier, starts to expand. And those who can't, they take off. They don't want anything to do with you. So you really have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to fear. And so take advantage of all the free stuff without a doubt. Take advantage of definitely take advantage of the 90-day challenge. And while we have this new Maoshan package, where you get what used to be the lockdown package and the 5-element spirit fighting package, you got two of those things together at an absolutely ridiculously unbelievable low price. I promise I won't hold it against you. All right, that's it. I wish you guys all the best. Thanks for showing up. And I will see you guys all next time. Take care. 2,000 years ago, Taoist shamans uncovered powerful techniques that allowed them to use their minds and their bodies to open portals to other dimensions. They could travel to these dimensions and they could bring energies and beings from higher dimensions into our dimension. These Taoist wizards were known as the Maoshan, and they were the original Taoist sect, and they've been known for 2,000 years as the most powerful and the most mysterious. 31 years ago, I was given the honor of being able to train in what was at that time a secret class of spirit fighting arts. It combined the powers of Qigong, of Tai Chi, of yoga and martial arts. And to this day, after searching for 31 years, I have not found anything that comes even remotely close to the power that this technology gives to me. I am offering it to you right now at maoshan.thunderwizard.com for the next 2 weeks. You will save huge amounts of money. I'm also bundling it with all of my favorite video teachings from all of my courses at thunderwizard.com. Go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com and get started.